So Monica Long, the president of Ripple, just hinted towards XRP adoption at Ripple Swell 2025. So I'm going to bring that to the screen. We're going to watch this clip together, and I'm also going to give you my 2 cents on this subject. So let's get started.
Welcome back to CoinDesk Live. We are coming to you from Ripple Swell in New York City, where leaders in crypto, blockchain, policy, and payments have come together to drive impact. Our next guest is the president of Ripple, Monica Long. Monica, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for being here with us.
Thank you for having us at the event. Andy and I have been having some incredible conversations here at the desk. I would love to hear from your perspective. What's the message you're sending at this year's Ripple Swell?
Yes, here we are in New York, financial capital globally, certainly within the U.S. And I think the situation's changed dramatically in the U.S. in 2025 for the crypto industry. And we're here to really signal how the bridge between the world of decentralized finance and the world of traditional finance is really happening. It's tangible. And this morning, we welcomed Adina Friedman, CEO and chair of NASDAQ. And that was really her message. And she backed it up with real tangible proof points of some of the work that she's doing with BTCC and others in the industry to modernize the infrastructure.
Two very unique points that she has made. Number one is that the situation is changing dramatically, and you can be sure she's referring to regulation and digital assets. That includes XRP not being a security. And number two, notice the tone of confidence in her voice, and she even said, it's happening. She's talking about adoption.
You know, it's become clear through the messaging and the acquisitions over the last year about how people should think about Ripple, right? Sometimes for retail people, it's a little bit abstracted away, but you know, diversified financial services company is something that people can get their hands around, and you have a prime broker now, you have a treasury framework provider, you have a wallet provider. You know, how do you handle messaging around all these new kind of limbs that Ripple is growing?
It's a great question, and yes, the company has expanded in a few different directions this year with the acquisitions. And we think of M&A through two key strategies. One is to accelerate our existing product portfolio. So for many years, we played in the world of payments and making payments more efficient, more scalable using blockchain. And we have, in the past few years, really expanded to be the end-to-end digital asset infrastructure provider. So that includes not just the on and off ramps and liquidity, but custody, getting the network right. So we went about acquiring more than 75 licenses around the world so that we can be that partner to a business who's trying to make their cross-border payments more efficient through just one simple integration. Rail, which we announced earlier this year, and then just this week, Palisade, are two examples of acquisitions that are strengthening the core infrastructure and adding missing puzzle pieces. And then the other kind of way we're growing is the second strategy is expanding to new lines of business that really will usher in the next wave of adoption of this technology. So I know you spoke with Renat, CEO of G Treasury earlier. Corporate treasury is a massive opportunity. They are responsible for most of the global money transmission annually. And so that is an opportunity for us to work with the G Treasury team to really co-develop the infrastructure and the next set of solutions that corporates would need to use blockchain. And then similar, Prime also being kind of a new line of business, but very complementary to where digital assets can improve efficiency.
I think, let's talk a little bit more about Prime. You rebranded it recently, which is nice. It's just in the family, but it seems it's aiming more towards that kind of institutional trading and money management market that's very hungry for very credible service providers, right? You can't, crypto has shown what happens, actually traditional banks have shown what happens when you have a prime services unit on wobbly legs, right? It will eventually kind of experience trouble. So being on such a firm ocean of liquidity and balance sheet portends well for a business like Ripple Prime. It does feel a little bit different from everything else you mentioned, and so maybe you can expand a little bit on where you'd like to see that go.
Yeah, and you hit the key word there, or I liked your phrase, ocean of liquidity. Digital asset markets have grown tremendously over the past 10 plus years, but they still are quite small in comparison to the world of capital markets. And so having a business like Prime under our roof, we are a client. So internally, our payments team, we use Prime in order to facilitate liquidity for our customers of payments. But we see it as something that will also underpin more use cases. Adina Friedman spoke this morning, and also Mark Ashe, the CEO of Prime. He's talked about how post-trade clearing and settlement could really benefit from higher efficiency of capital mobility. And so those are some of the use cases we're working through, and that's perfect for what a blockchain is suited for.
This event is called Swell, and we were kind of kind of playing around with that because the markets are choppy, and there's like
Andy's very good with words, as you can
puns
see.
and wordplay. Yeah.
the little waves that that make your boat unstable are the chop, but the swells are the big waves that if you can navigate them well, you can
poetry over here.
I am looking to point this towards vision and how do you see the horizon? How do you navigate? Whether they're regulatory or market sentiment or any kind of short-term problems, to keep your gaze at the horizon really and try to navigate the swells while avoiding the chop.
I mean, I feel the analogy you drew out has really been the history of the crypto industry, and certainly our lived experience at Ripple. We're one of the old guard. This company was founded in 2012. I joined in 2013, so I've been through the chop in the moment, many different time periods of that, but then also these incredible moments of progress. And I do think with more regulatory clarity, that's always been the long pole in the tent, right? Like we've kind of talked about it on stage earlier today. I think financial services gets it. They get where markets could be more efficient, rails could be more efficient, more transparent. So they understand the value that blockchain can bring. The long pole has been, well, what are the regulators going to say? How are they going to view this? And that's just been a huge propeller. I need your help getting the analogy to fit together. It's been the swell that has brought us onto the wave.
You're doing
onto the wave.
You're doing great.
We're there. We got there.
There we go.
That's right. No, we got there. We got there.
I want to pivot a little bit and talk about stablecoins, a huge narrative this year, of course, on the back of the passing of the Genius Act here in the United States. RLUSD is, of course, Ripple's stablecoin, but we also had folks at the desk talking about EuroP today. I know there are other stablecoins building on XRP Ledger.
Yeah.
What's your stablecoin strategy?
Yeah, so from a Ripple payments perspective, the vast majority of our flows are working with RLUSD today, and that was really our motivation for launching a US dollar stablecoin. Of course, DFS regulated, so we want it to be very very credible and very trusted in the market, even by institutions. Some of the examples you're calling out, though, is the original vision for the XRP Ledger was to be a payments blockchain, and hence why it had the first decentralized exchange built into it. And so this idea of bring high quality assets onto the ledger, and stablecoins are a great example of that. And the DEX can be used to facilitate FX, with XRP being a transaction fee currency, also a bridge asset between especially stablecoin pairs, or if we project into the future, other tokenized real world assets. That long tail might not always have liquidity for the asset cross, and so that's where XRP is the bridge.
We have a lot of folks watching who are ardent XRP, enthusiastic XRP army. What kind of message can you tell them about the growth plans and, what's sitting in their wallets right now?
Yeah, within Ripple, so of course we have a commercial business where we're serving financial institutions with that digital asset infrastructure, and then we also have a team that's purely dedicated to the ledger and continued innovation. I hope people developers been following over the past couple years the amount of new features that we've put up for amendment. Next up is a lending protocol. So there's a lot of investment internally in just expanding the use cases and capabilities, and then also to bring more institutions in their use cases, like stablecoins being a great example, onto XRP Ledger. And we think about that our Ripple team overall, we think about the flywheel effect between utility, trust, and liquidity in XRP. And we put a lot of work into utility.
So we just got the most important part of the interview. I'm going to pause it right there. And I loved how Monica Long has described the XRP ecosystem as an end-to-end digital asset infrastructure. As you can see, she's really emphasizing the fact that XRP became way more than just a gas fee or a liquidity provider. XRP stands at the heart of the entire ecosystem. Now, corporate treasury is also on the talks, tokenization of real-world assets, the built-in DEX, the first ever DEX to be built on a blockchain, that's also on the XRP Ledger. So the future does look bright for XRP holders. And if I could just summarize what she has said, what stands right to me is that the future of XRP is to become the global reserve currency. Countless pairs of stable coins from currencies all around the world, where XRP stands in the middle. XRP acts as an intermediary currency, in other words, a bridge currency that connects the US dollar to Mexican pesos and to the euro and so on. End-to-end digital infrastructure, and that mirrors exactly what Ripple is building right now. Is becoming way beyond just a private company. It's actually on the way to become a fully regulated bank that has the native currency XRP set to work on large scale with the Bank of International Settlements, the IMF, and the World Bank. Well, folks, all I can say is that it's definitely happening. Now, let me know in the comments what do you think about Monica Long's speech at Ripple Swell. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to see you in the next video. Done.